Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Hello, friends. How are you this morning? You're doing grand. Hope it's a good day for you. So, hope everybody's doing well today. Have some, for those of you who are keeping track in terms of those we might pray for, we can continue to pray for Vicki and her upcoming surgery and care and her pain levels. We can continue to pray for Fannie Faye Davis, who is struggling and needs your prayers. We can pray for Chris Canto, our dear relation, my uncle-in-law, who had a stroke this week, and so please keep him in your prayers. Bill Farnham, we are thankful for Bill. He came through well with his procedure yesterday, and things are well and good. And we can also pray for the Landry family. We memorialized one of theirs yesterday here at the church. So it's a full and heavy time in some ways. Life is happening all around us, and so in the midst of that, I hope that you can lift up in prayer and goodness and wholeness those whom you care dear. Throw them in the chat. We'll put them on our prayer list. Love to continue to pray with you. Good morning, Jane. Glad you're here. Hope things are great for you. Good morning, everybody. Get a couple more seconds here and we'll get going. Have a little mug up. Travel cup today. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. That was such a cool video Sarah posted on the with the whale breaching. How cool was that? So Karen's daughter is a lobsterman up in Maine, and she had a big old whale, big old humpback, kind of fishing right next to her, which was just something to see. Great video. Morning, Yvette. Hope you're doing great. Your kids are living their best life now. Hey, Donna, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. All right, friends, let's get going this morning. It is the 24th day of July here at 11:11, and this will be our last 11:11 together for a while, although we have our good friend, Reverend Tom Cornight, known by the vernacular as TC. TC will be doing an 11:11 on Tuesdays in my absence. I am going to be on sabbatical and going to be away, so I hope but you'll come here. But on Tuesdays, he will be doing a live stream, much like this, as a chance to give you a little meditation. He'll also be posting a kind of a thought for the week on our Facebook page as well. So we have there's a number of kind of electronic offerings that we continue. TC's a great guy, and I hope you will take advantage of his presence with us while I'm away. Reach out to him, engage him. Like he's always up for a chat or discussion. So I hope you'll avail yourself of his wisdom and way. He's an incredible guy. So that's this invitation to say that I'll be taking a knee through this coming month, and so the opportunity to get Ryan to school and to care for some of the dear ones in my life, spend some time with my mom. In these hazy days of summer. So that is coming up. All of this is to bring us to this notion of what I want to kind of leave you with. Not leave you, but just to kind of give you for this next month, for this time that we might be away. And this is from the first chapter this is how Paul starts the book of Ephesians, how his letter to the church in Ephesus that he's trying to encourage, he starts with these verses. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in Christ with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places, even as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and blameless before him. In love, he predestined us for adoption to himself as sons and daughters through Jesus Christ, according to the purpose of his will, to the praise of his glorious grace with which he has blessed us in the beloved. Now, you may have heard in the grand scheme of things this notion of predestination. What has God actually predestined? Are you, in the great Calvinist thing, are you predestined for heaven, or is there just a little community, or is there somebody else, or what about that guy, or I don't like the look of her, like what, this notion of predestination has been used in many ways, I think, as a line of division within the church for a long time. But we have to come back to this place. We have to come back to this original source because of what it's really telling us. It's not whether you can figure it out, or I can figure it out, or somebody else can figure it out and do all the right things, do the hokey pokey and turn ourselves around, that we are predestined to be for the adoption to God's table, to be sons and daughters of the Most High. That's what we're made for. Because it begs the question, do you know what you were born for? Do you know what you were born for? And I'm not just saying, maybe you were born to be a parent and to raise that child. Maybe you were born to be a musician and you were born to play music. Maybe you were born for a particular I'm not talking about just the task. I'm just saying, what was the end state? That's what Paul is starting with his letter to the church in Ephesus, with the sense of this is what you were born for. You were born so that there might be a heaven made from the human race that is filled with the sons and daughters of God that are adopted into God's family. That you were born for this, coming into this family. That's what you were made for, not just in terms of function, but in terms of identity, in terms of where you are designed to end up. That I think about it. I love this image of the Continental Divide. I don't know if anybody's ever had the chance to fly, if you've ever flown over the Continental Divide and been able to look down on it, or you've been able to see the Continental Divide, or maybe you've driven through one of the passes out there and you kind of get that experience of kind of going over the hill. But the Continental Divide on the North American continent goes all the way from Alaska, all the way down to Tierra del Fuego. There is a high point on the continent that a line that you can fall all the way through. In the United States, it's up through the American Rockies. And what that means is, from that divide, from that line, when a drop of rain lands on one side of the divide or other, it is bound for either the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean. That really is kind of the way in which we are in this world. We are born for the ocean. We are born for heaven. We are born for the grand connectedness and being of the one who made us. We are born to swim with the whales. We are born to be a part of the great sea of life in eternity. That's where now that journey. Now if that little drop comes down and drops somewhere in Denver, well, it's got a long ways to go. It's got rivers and it's got things, and it may get stopped for a while. It may get stuck, and it may get all swampy and give way to fecund things. It may work its way down through raging rivers and give life to fish and all manner of things. It may land as a drop of dew on a beautiful flower, just making it just that much more beautiful. But you and I, friends, we are as this. We are born for the ocean. And now don't read too deeply into the metaphor. I'm not being all Gnostic here, where we're little separate pieces of light. That's not what I'm saying. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But I am saying that what Paul is inviting us to is to remember what we were made for. that we're made for this identity as sons and daughters of the Most High. That's it, and we're predestined for that. Not that guy's predestined, or that guy's predestined, or she is, or her, or he isn't. That was always a wrong read. It is my true and real conviction that all of us, every single soul that has come into being, is born for this connectedness to this great love and the grand adventure of what it is for us to find our way homes. We are the pilgrim people. We understand it in the congregational way. We understand ourselves as the pilgrim people. And we understand this. I tell this to every baptism couple. Every time I try to say this every time, that it is our bound reality that we come into this world. We will spend however many days the Lord gives us, and then we will go home. Much like that drop that falls on the side, on one side of the continental divide, is born for the ocean, the Atlantic or the Pacific, but it is born for it. That's where it's going to go. That's where it's going to end up. That is its journey, and so too is it with us. There is a beautiful notion. This actually comes from a liturgy. It's a couple 100-year-old liturgy, and I found it once, and I just fell in love with it. And it's designed to be read in a liturgy of a funeral service. And I wanted to read it for you today, not to get you all down or get you all sad about the fact, but it is this way in which it speaks to, because it's speaking into this truth that of what you are born for and how you are made for, that you are predestined for these beautiful and wonderful things. And it goes like this. We are so created by the Lord that as to our inner being, our character, and everything that makes us a person, we can never die. Whatever is alive in us is spirit, our body only serving as an instrument that is responsive to that living, moving force. Since then, everything that lives in the body and, from life, acts and feels belongs exclusively to the spirit. Nothing of it to the body. It follows that the spirit is the real person, or that is the same thing, that considered ourselves that we are spiritual beings. Therefore, when our body is no longer able to perform its functions in the natural world, but is separated from our spirit, which is called dying, we still continue to be ourselves, and we continue to live. We ourselves live because we live not from the body, but from the spirit, because it is the spirit which thinks and loves in us, and thought together with affection makes us what we are. Thus it is clear that when we die, we only pass from consciousness of one world to that of another. And when this happens, we take with us everything that makes us a person, except for this bodily form, which is laid aside because it is of no further use to us. We are therefore clothed in the body, similar experience in appearance, and one that we left behind, but with a difference in quality. It is now a spiritual body fully attuned to our new environment. And when, moreover, what is spiritual touches and sees what is spiritual, it is just the same as the senses as when the natural touches and sees what is natural now. As the Apostle Paul says, there is a natural body and there is a spiritual body, and one is put off and the other is put on. And again, we know that the earthly frame that houses us today could be demolished, but we possess a building which God has provided, a house not made by hands, eternal and in heaven, because we remain essentially the same person. We are immediately recognized by those who have gone before us, and in turn, we know them and rejoice in their company. There, as here, we relate to one another according to the depth and reality of our love and friendship. Friends, you're making your way to the ocean. You're on this grand journey. You are making your way to that beautiful and glorious reality. No, I'm not saying that's exactly how it is. I don't know. There is divine mystery in this sort of thing. Let's just cast a vision so that we can have one. Let us hold this as a vision, maybe not the vision, but to know that Paul's first invitation to the church in Ephesus, Paul's first invitation to the church in Ephesians, is that we might be on this grand journey, this drop of water finding its way to the ocean, this wondrous and beautiful adventure of where we will find ourselves in the raging rivers and the puddles and the dewdrops of our lives, where we will find ourselves in these grand experience, that as if we were separate from the one who made us, but we are not. As if we were divorced from our Father in heaven, but we are not, because that we are born and made and predestined to sit at his table. And that is the grand promise of the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what this whole thing is about. So I want to invite you in this month to come to, should you find yourself struggling, should you find yourself in trying to figure out what's next, should you find yourself hurting, remember what you were born for. You were born that heaven might come from the human race. You were born that you might shine forth the glory of God in this world, in this way. That you might be raised up among the stars, that you might be raised up among the angels to sit at God's table. That's what you are predestined for. So friends, it is my hope in these days ahead that I hope you will be able to hold that vision, hold that shiny reality before you, and that no little puddle you may feel stuck in, no little mire that may get you down, that may remind you to permit the Lord to continue to flow with you and through you and in you, and take you to that grand and beautiful place that is not only being prepared for you, but is the one you were made for. All right, friends, let's see who else popped in here on the chat before we go. I want to make sure I get a chance to say hi to everybody. Beth Borch, everybody. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. So glad you're here. Sharon Landry, everyone. Good to see Sharon. Jane, glad you're here. Donna, glad you made it. Vicky, we are praying for you so much. I really hope things go grand. And that Deb, hey, good morning, Deb. I'm glad you're here as well. I'm so grateful for all of you on this chat. So grateful that we have continued this journey together, and we will continue it on in the days ahead. When we get to come back in September, please spend some time with Tom Coronite, with TC, on Tuesdays, and check out his regular check-ins on Facebook. He's terrific. He's got a lot of wisdom. He's a wonderful guy. Worship with us, whether it's online or 282 Rock Street. Immerse yourself. He has a great series coming up. He talks about it in the newsletter. You can check that out. But he has a really wonderful series about what it is to walk out this the call of being Christian in a postmodern age, in modernity. There's a ton of wisdom in it. He's given me a couple of morsels here and there, and I want to come and listen. I know how to listen in. So I hope you'll be a part of the worship and life of the church over this next month. While we're taking a knee, we're getting Ryan off to school, and caring for some of those that we love, and all of that. But know that you are loved, and that you are prayed for, and that you are predestined for adoption through Jesus Christ to the table of the Most High. Peace and grace to you, my friends, and we will pick it up, in a few weeks at 11:11.